It was never supposed to come to this. A family once held together by vows and shared dreams, now unraveling under the weight of secrets. The courthouse steps were slick with rain, the air thick with tension, as Kody Brown led his fractured family into the glare of cameras and the watchful eyes of strangers. Gone were the smiles viewers had seen on television. Today there was only judgment, both public and personal. Robyn clutched Kody's arm, knuckles white, her fingers trembling as if holding on to him might somehow hold the family together. Her gaze flitted nervously across the press, searching for sympathy, finding only curiosity and judgment. A few steps behind, Janelle walked tall, her carefully cultivated stoicism masking the shadow in her eyes. Christine and Meri brought up the rear, each carrying folders so thick with evidence they seemed to weigh down their every step. The hard lines on their faces told a story of betrayal, mistrust, and years of unspoken pain. Inside the courthouse, the usual hum of chatter and camera clicks gave way to the solemn hush of marble halls. Kody hesitated before the courtroom door, glancing at the women who had once trusted him to lead, protect, and love them equally. Their eyes were icy, unreadable. He realized with a pang that nothing would ever be the same. The courtroom was packed. Reporters, curious townspeople, distant relatives, all squeezed into the wooden benches, faces flickering with disbelief. At the front, Judge Harris sat ramrod straight, eyes sharp, ready to untangle a lifetime of secrets. The bailiff's voice rang out, "All rise!" and a hush fell like a heavy curtain as the judge took her seat. "This is court case 2024-578, Brown versus Brown," Judge Harris announced. An intra-family lawsuit concerning allegations of financial deception, breach of trust, and emotional harm. A collective gasp rippled through the room. Wasn't the Brown family lifestyle built on trust? Weren't they supposed to be the model for a love that could weather anything? Now the very foundation of that trust was being torn apart before the world. Christine stood first, shedding the warm, motherly persona viewers once knew. In her place was steel, hardened by betrayal. "Your Honor," she began, voice strong but steady. "For years we were told that every sacrifice, every compromise was for the good of the family. But the evidence we hold shows a pattern of deception by Mr. Kody Brown. Secret accounts, hidden funds, property transfers done behind closed doors. We were not partners. We were pawns." Kody's composure cracked just slightly, and Robyn's grip on his hand tightened. Janelle's lawyer stepped forward, carrying a thick folder of bank statements and correspondence. "Your Honor, we will demonstrate that Mr. Brown systematically misled the other wives about family finances. Money intended for all was diverted, chiefly benefiting Mrs. Robyn Brown and her children." Judge Harris leaned forward, pen poised. "Do you have hard evidence?" Christine nodded, sliding a stack of documents across the table. Emails, texts, transaction records, and witnesses ready to testify. Kody's lawyer tried to object, but the judge waved him off. Mr. Brown will have his chance to defend himself. For now, the evidence will speak. Outside, the Brown children waited anxiously. Realitea clutched her phone, whispering to her sister Aspen, "They're bringing out the bank records. This is really happening." Meri finally stood. "Your Honor, I was Kody's first wife. For years I believed in our dream. But over time, I saw the cracks. Favoritism, lies, betrayals that grew into a chasm. Property sales happened without my consent. Documents I was told not to read. I trusted and I was deceived." Judge Harris's eyes softened for a fleeting moment. "Do you believe this deception was intentional?" Meri's voice was calm but unwavering. "At first I thought it carelessness, but patterns emerge over time. It's not love anymore, it's power and control." Kody shifted in his seat, uncomfortable, trying to meet Meri's gaze, but she looked away. Silence fell, a silence so heavy it seemed to press on the walls themselves. "Mr. Brown," Judge Harris said, her voice calm but firm, "you've been accused of serious financial misconduct. How do you respond?" "I never intended to hurt anyone," Kody said, standing, face flushed. "I did what I thought was right for the family, managing finances, paying debts, making hard choices. I did it to protect them. I never stole. I never betrayed them." "That may be," the judge replied, "but you will have a chance to defend yourself. For now, the evidence will speak." Inside, the tension was palpable. The Browns faced each other across the courtroom, years of shared history clashing with the raw knowledge that nothing could return to what it was. Robyn quietly wept. Janelle's stoicism faltered, and Christine's hands shook as she laid out line after line of bank statements. As the first session ended, the family retreated to separate corners, lawyers close by, and the storm outside mirrored the storm inside. This was no longer just a family. They were opponents, each armed with truth, wounds, and the hope that justice might finally be served. Then came the real revelations. Christine approached the evidence table, folders in hand, glancing briefly at her former sister wives, Meri, Janelle, Robyn, a look that was both apology and warning. Kody watched, jaw clenched, as she placed the first folder on the table, the slap of paper loud in the hush. "Your Honor," Christine's lawyer said, "we submit bank statements, emails, and texts spanning the last 8 years. These documents show transfers from the family account to private accounts under Mr. Brown's name and Mrs. Robyn Brown's name." Whispers erupted. Even hardened reporters leaned forward. Judge Harris raised a hand. "Order, proceed." Christine's lawyer laid out the evidence methodically, thousands of dollars flowing into accounts no one else knew existed. Kody attempted to interject, but his lawyer shook him off. "The evidence will speak first," the judge said. Christine's voice broke slightly, but her resolve remained. "I trusted Kody. We all did. But the numbers never added up. Promises made about our children, about retirement funds, they were broken. When I finally accessed these records, my heart broke." Janelle stood, no papers in hand, just memory. "I managed rental properties for years, but Kody refused to show me full statements. Why was Robyn's name on the Coyote Pass deed, but not mine? Why did Robyn get a new car while I couldn't secure a home improvement loan for my kids?" Kody's face tightened, lips thinning. Robyn's eyes shimmered with tears, guilt or fear, or both. The judge held up a hand. "We want facts, patterns, intent, not theatrics." Christine's lawyer nodded. "We have receipts, school tuition for Robyn's children, vacations, even a jewelry business, all paid from the family account without consensus." A hush fell. Even the skeptics whispered. Was this a husband trying to protect his family, or a man favoring one wife at the expense of all the others? Then a new witness was called, Peyton, Christine's son. He approached nervously, glancing at his father before focusing on the judge. "Growing up, I thought Dad loved us all equally," and the courtroom braced itself for the revelations still to come. "But over time, I realized things weren't equal," Peyton continued, his voice trembling. "I saw money spent on things for Robyn and her kids, trips, gifts, even tuition, while my siblings and I were told there wasn't enough. I trusted Dad to be fair. I wanted to believe he loved all of us the same. But the records tell a different story." A hush fell across the courtroom. Even the journalists stopped typing, pens suspended midair. Kody shifted uncomfortably in his seat, his eyes flicking to Robyn. She looked back, guilt etched into her features, as if caught between defending her husband and acknowledging the truth. Christine's hands shook as she gestured toward the spreadsheets. "These aren't just numbers. These are my children's futures. Our sacrifices. Every promise broken. Every decision that benefited one while neglecting the others. This isn't love, it's manipulation." Janelle's voice, steady but charged with restrained anger, added to the mounting tension. "And it's not just about money. It's about respect. Every time we ask questions, we were told to trust. But trust doesn't mean silence while your family is being deceived. It means transparency, accountability, equality. None of that happened." Robyn's lips quivered. I never asked for this. I didn't know the full extent. Kody was supposed to handle it, Her voice broke and she looked down at the table, ashamed. Kody finally rose, his hands gripping the edges of the bench, face pale and tense. I did what I thought was best for the family. I wanted security, stability. Maybe I made mistakes, but I never wanted to hurt anyone. I never intended to play favorites." Judge Harris leaned forward, her gaze unwavering. "Intentions are irrelevant without accountability, Mr. Brown. Actions speak louder than words. And the evidence presented shows a clear pattern of favoritism and concealment." Meri, her tone calm but piercing, added the final blow. "I believed in our family, in the vision Kody sold us. But all these years I was kept in the dark. Property sold without my consent. Funds diverted. Decisions made while my voice was ignored. And for what? For Robyn's security? At what cost to the rest of us?" Kody sank back into his chair, the weight of his choices finally pressing down. The courtroom was thick with tension, every whisper amplified, every eye fixed on the unfolding drama. Outside, rain streaked down the courthouse windows, mirroring the turmoil inside. Rain streaked down the courthouse windows, mirroring the turmoil inside. The judge called a recess, her gavel striking the wood with authority. The Browns filed out, divided yet bound by shared history. Lawyers huddled, supporters whispered, and the children lingered near the doors, their faces pale and anxious. The media swarmed, hungry for every detail, every reaction. But everyone knew this was only the beginning. The day's revelations had exposed deep fractures that years of cameras, smiles, and public appearances could never hide. And as the storm raged outside, the Brown family braced for what would come next. Testimony that would dig even deeper, revelations that would shock the public, and confrontations that might finally bring some sense of justice or irreparable heartbreak. Because in this courtroom, every secret mattered. Every decision had consequences. And for the Browns, nothing, not love, not loyalty, not decades of television fame, could prepare them for the truths that were about to surface. But after Robyn joined the family, everything changed. Joint birthdays disappeared. Private meetings replaced family gatherings. Some children received gifts while others got nothing. Trips were planned selectively. I even found an envelope of cash in the pantry with Robyn's name on it. I asked Dad about it. He hesitated, then said, "It's nothing to worry about." It made me feel like I didn't belong. Tears slipped down Christine's cheek. Janelle reached over, squeezing her hand in quiet solidarity. Robyn was called to the stand next, visibly shaken. "I swear I didn't know about all the accounts," she whispered, voice quivering. "Kody told me it was his responsibility. He said he wanted to give us a safety net because we didn't have as much family support as the others. I trusted him. I didn't ask questions." The judge's eyes narrowed. "You benefited directly from these decisions, Mrs. Brown. Are you saying you had no idea where the money came from?" Robyn's eyes brimmed with tears. "I thought he was taking care of everyone. I see now I was wrong." Across the room, Janelle murmured to Meri, voice low and sharp, "She's always played innocent, but she knew more than she's letting on." "We all did." Judge Harris intervened. "Mrs. Brown, did you ever benefit from Kody's financial decisions in ways that others did not?" Robyn nodded, sob catching in her throat. "Yes. The cabin, the college fund, even my jewelry business. I didn't know it was at the expense of the others." Meri's eyes flashed with anger. "You knew enough. You just didn't care until it blew up." The courtroom fell silent. But the tension was far from over. Now it was Meri's turn. Her composure was different. Steel hidden behind sadness, determination beneath heartbreak. "I've loved this family from the start. I believed in our vision. But over the years, I watched the man I married turn into someone I didn't recognize. Dinners we weren't invited to, late-night phone calls. Kody disappearing, not just from my room, but from my life." She turned to him, unwavering. "You didn't just betray us, Kody, you erased us." Kody shifted, avoiding her gaze. His attorney whispered urgently, but Kody shook his head. The courtroom felt as if it were closing in around him. Judge Harris scribbled notes, voice steady. "Thank you, Miss Brown. Your words will be taken into consideration." Suddenly, the heavy doors creaked open at the back. Garrison Kody and Janelle's son stepped forward, older now but carrying the haunted look of a child who had seen too much too young. "I'd like to testify," he said, voice shaking but resolute. Judge Harris nodded. "Proceed, Mr. Brown." Garrison took a deep breath. "When I was little, I thought our family was special. People stared, but I believed Dad loved us all equally. After Robyn came, doors closed to us. Christmas got smaller. Trips became secrets. We'd ask to see Dad, and he'd say he was busy. Sometimes I saw my mom crying. Every time Dad said, 'It's for the family.' Trust me. But it wasn't about all of us. It was about them. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just tired. Tired of pretending. Tired of watching my mom, Christine, and Meri hurt. I want the truth. I want my dad to say he's sorry, not just for the money, but for breaking us." Kody's composure finally cracked. Tears welled in his eyes, revealing the broken man behind the bravado. Judge Harris nodded. "Thank you, Mr. Brown. Your testimony will be entered into the record." Christine could no longer stay silent. "May I speak?" she asked. The judge nodded. "I stayed as long as I could," Christine said, voice breaking. "I tried to believe Kody could change. But the more I uncovered, the more I realized he'd chosen his path. He built walls with every lie, every secret transfer, every night he spent away. I'm not here for revenge. I'm here so my children know their mother fought for the truth." Even the most jaded journalist blinked back tears. Kody wiped his eyes, standing. "Your Honor, I made mistakes. I hurt people I loved. I let the fear of losing control make me do things I never thought I would. I was wrong. I see that now." He looked at his wives, faces lined with anger, heartbreak, and faint hope. I can't change the past, but I want to make amends if you'll let me. Judge Harris took a deep breath. We are here for accountability, Mr. Brown, and sometimes accountability hurts. The court will consider all testimonies and evidence. Court is adjourned until tomorrow. Recess. The room erupted. Reporters swarmed, family members wept openly. Kody and Robyn huddled together, shaken. Janelle, Christine, and Meri found solace in one another. For the first time, through pain, they discovered a fragile kind of unity, one born not of love, but of shared truth. Outside, the storm had broken. The sky cleared. But for the Browns, the hardest part was still ahead. Night fell over the courthouse, orange light streaking through rain-splattered windows. Inside, tension crackled like electricity. Janelle traced her fingers over a photo of her children, lips moving in silent prayer. Christine stared out the window, searching the dark sky for hope, or maybe just for confirmation that she had made the right choice. Meri sat upright, hands clasped, her foot tapping an anxious rhythm. Robyn held Kody's hand as if she could stop him from slipping away entirely. The Brown family waited, hearts heavy for the next chapter to unfold. The fourth day dawned heavy and gray. The courthouse was surrounded by rain-soaked news vans and a restless crowd, all hungry for answers. Inside, tension crawled along the walls, thick as the storm outside. Every whispered conversation, every nervous glance seemed amplified. The Browns arrived separately this time, each carrying their own weight. Kody and Robyn stood side by side under the awning, umbrellas barely shielding them from the rain. Or the storm within. Janelle's shoulders were squared, eyes tired, refusing to meet Kody's gaze. Christine moved with quiet resolve, nodding briefly to Meri. Their unity was no longer born of love. It was forged in shared pain. As they entered, the media's flashbulbs erupted once more, hungry for tears, a crack in composure, any hint of weakness. But for the Browns, this was no longer about money, property, or appearances. It was about trust, dignity, the right to have their story finally told. Judge Harris called the courtroom to order, her gavel echoing through the room. Day 4, she announced. We proceed with witness testimony. Remember, this is a court of law, not a stage for spectacle. We are here for truth, for justice. But the spectacle had already begun. Christine's attorney rose first. Your Honor, we call Peyton Brown to the stand. A hush swept through the gallery. Christine's son, older now, stepped forward, his steps tentative but deliberate. The courtroom watched him like prey in a spotlight. My name is Peyton Brown, he said, voice steadying as he continued. When I was young, I believed our family was equal. That Dad loved us all the same. But after Robyn joined, everything changed. Secret gifts, trips, privileges for some, not for others. I saw envelopes of cash. I saw Mom cry. I trusted my father, but the trust was misplaced. Kody sat frozen, jaw tight, as Peyton's words cut through the room like a knife. Robyn's hand gripped his knee, her own eyes wide with guilt. Christine could no longer hold back. She stood, voice shaking but strong. I stayed because I hoped Kody could change. But the more I uncovered, the more I realized he had chosen his path. Walls built with every secret, every lie, every night spent away from us. I'm not here for revenge. I'm here so my children know their mother fought for the truth. A stunned silence followed. Even the reporters, hardened by decades of sensational stories, seemed caught off guard. Judge Harris finally spoke, calm but firm. Mr. Brown, you may respond. Kody rose, hands gripping the railing until his knuckles turned white. I made mistakes. I hurt the people I loved most. I let fear of losing control drive me to decisions I now regret. I was wrong. I see that now. I can't undo the past, but I want to make amends. If they'll let me. The judge leaned back slightly. Accountability, Mr. Brown. That is all this court seeks. And sometimes it is painful. Court is adjourned until tomorrow. Outside, the storm was breaking. Rain turned to mist, the clouds parting as if in quiet witness. The Browns filed out, each carrying their own weight of sorrow and hope. Kody and Robyn clung together, shaken and exposed. Janelle, Christine, and Meri drew strength from one another, united by the truth rather than love. But the world was still watching. Cameras flashed, microphones hovered, and the press shouted questions that would have gone unanswered. Christine ignored them, eyes forward, chest tight with a mixture of relief and anticipation. Janelle's lips pressed into a thin line, holding back the storm within. Meri's jaw tightened as she took a deep breath, finally feeling that maybe, just maybe, the truth had a chance to set them free. Night fell over the courthouse. Inside, the air crackled with tension, electricity from unresolved anger, grief, and the heavy weight of betrayal. Each Brown sat quietly, lost in thought. Christine stared out the rain-streaked window, searching for a sign that she had made the right choice. Janelle's fingers traced the outline of a photo of her children, silent prayer on her lips. Meri's foot tapped a restless rhythm, hand clenched around documents she had memorized line by line. Robyn clutched Kody's hand, as if holding him could prevent the past from consuming them completely. And in that silence, the hardest truth settled over them all. Nothing would ever be the same. Not love, not marriage, not even the fame that once made them untouchable. The Brown family had been stripped bare, and now the real test began. Could truth, accountability, and courage repair what had been broken? Because tomorrow, when the jury returned, every secret, every betrayal, and every choice would be judged. And for the Browns, the world would finally see what years of cameras and smiles had tried to hide. Kody, once so confident and sure of his place at the center of it all, now looked lost. His eyes drifted from face to face, searching for forgiveness and finding only distance. Don't even think about clicking away, because the next moments would decide the fate of the entire Brown family. When the jury finally returned, the courtroom fell completely silent. The air felt thick, every breath held in suspense. The forewoman, a woman with silver hair and eyes that revealed nothing, held the verdict tightly. "Has the jury reached a unanimous decision?" asked Judge Harris. "We have, Your Honor," came the reply. The bailiff handed over the verdict. Time seemed to slow. Every eye was fixed on the judge as she read aloud. "All right. In the case of Brown versus Brown, on the charges of financial deception and breach of trust, we find in favor of the plaintiffs, Christine Brown, Janelle Brown, and Meri Brown." The courtroom erupted. Gasps, whispers, and stunned silence mingled together. Robyn sobbed openly, clutching Kody's hand. Janelle let out a shaky sigh and collapsed into Christine's arms, relief and heartbreak flowing freely. Meri sat quietly, fingers trembling, pressing a tissue to her lips. Judge Harris continued, her voice firm. "Mr. Kody Brown, you are ordered to repay all misappropriated funds identified in this case within 90 days. You must relinquish all rights to the cabin properties acquired under disputed circumstances. Additionally, you are required to attend a full course of family mediation, with the goal of seeking understanding, restitution, and, if possible, reconciliation. This court recognizes the unique challenges of plural families, but trust, transparency, and fairness are required in every relationship. Favoritism is not a defense." Outside, thunder rolled as if the sky itself mourned with the Browns. Kody stood shakily. "Your Honor, may I speak?" he asked. "You may, Mr. Brown," the judge replied. Kody's voice was weak, his confidence shattered. "I thought I was protecting my family. I see now I was only protecting myself. I lost sight of what mattered. I'm sorry, to my wives, my children, to all of you. I let pride and fear drive a wedge between us. I hope we can heal. Someday." Robyn sobbed again, reaching for him, but he seemed lost in his shame. Christine wiped her eyes, feeling both exhausted and triumphant. Janelle squeezed Meri's hand. Years of hurt melted, if only for a moment. Meri finally closed her eyes. "It's over," she whispered. Outside, the rain eased. The courthouse emptied, but the weight of the verdict lingered. Christine, Janelle, and Meri walked with a mix of relief and heartbreak. Kody and Robyn sat together, silent, their future uncertain. The children huddled, some crying, others glaring at their father, struggling to process the family they'd lost. Money could be repaid. Property could be divided. But trust, once broken, was not so easily restored. Weeks passed. Christine focused on her children and shared her story with others through her project, Breaking Free. Janelle worked on practicalities, new homes, finances, therapy, finding strength in small victories. Meri poured her pain into a memoir, determined to show resilience after betrayal. Kody and Robyn withdrew from public life, grappling with guilt, financial burdens, and the distance from the family they had once known. The Browns' children scattered, some refusing to forgive, others seeking understanding. But slowly, each family member began to rebuild. Dinner tables filled with tentative laughter. Old wounds were discussed over coffee, and letters of apology were exchanged. Months later, Christine lit candles for dinner, celebrating new beginnings with her children. Janelle and Meri met over coffee, finding solidarity in shared survival. Kody sat alone, scrolling through old photos, grieving the man he had been and the family he had lost. Robyn sought therapy, determined to understand her part and break the cycle of secrecy. The Browns were no longer what they had once been. But as the sun rose on a new day, they faced the future not as victims or reality stars, but as survivors. And sometimes that was enough. Months turned into a year, and the Browns began slowly carving out new lives. Each step forward was tentative, each victory small but meaningful. Christine threw herself into her project breaking free, sharing her journey online, sending messages of courage to women trapped in secrets or lies. Her children began to see a mother who was strong, honest, and unafraid to stand for herself, and that strength rippled through their own lives. Janelle focused on rebuilding stability for her children. New routines, new home, new rules, but also a renewed sense of closeness. She and Meri met regularly, sometimes tense, sometimes laughing. Slowly, old wounds healed enough to allow a fragile trust to grow. "We survived each other," Janelle said quietly. Meri smiled, nodding. "Now we can survive ourselves." Kody and Robyn, meanwhile, wrestled with the weight of their choices. Kody sold off assets to repay the family, downsized his life, and tried to face the reality of what he had lost. Robyn attended therapy, confronting the guilt she carried for the preferential treatment, learning to untangle herself from the secrets that had consumed their family. For the first time, they faced themselves honestly, without excuses. The children, scattered across the country, were learning to process the past. Some cut ties with Kody, refusing forgiveness. Others cautiously opened their hearts to reconciliation. Letters, video calls, and rare visits became lifelines, threads connecting a family that no longer fit together neatly, but still cared for one another in new, sometimes fragile ways. Through it all, the public watched. Social media buzzed with opinions, theories, and commentary. But inside the walls of their homes, the Browns knew this was not about headlines. It was about survival, understanding, and eventually, forgiveness. And slowly, even amidst the fractured relationships, a new kind of family began to emerge. Not perfect, not without scars, but real, honest, transparent. A family that could speak the truth even when it hurt, and still hold on to hope. Christine, Janelle, Meri, Kody, and Robyn each faced the future differently. But one truth became clear: the past could not be undone, but it could teach them how to live better, how to protect their children, and how to reclaim pieces of themselves lost along the way. As the sun rose over their lives, the Browns were no longer defined by reality TV, secrets, or scandal. They were defined by resilience, by survival, by the courage to face themselves and each other, and to begin again. Sometimes that is all that matters. The Brown family, once seen as the face of plural marriage, faced a shattering courtroom battle as secrets of financial deception and favoritism came to light. Christine, Janelle, and Meri accused Kody of hiding funds, mismanaging family finances, and favoring Robyn, whose children received special treatment. Evidence included bank records, emails, property deeds, and testimonies from children revealing years of exclusion and betrayal. Robyn admitted she trusted Kody and did not realize the full scope of the deceit. Kody confessed to mistakes, claiming he tried to protect the family but lost control. Witness testimonies, including those of the children, exposed the emotional toll and shattered trust within the family. The jury ruled in favor of Christine, Janelle, and Meri. Kody was ordered to repay misappropriated funds, relinquish disputed property, and attend family mediation. While justice was served, trust and relationships remained deeply fractured. In the aftermath, the Browns began separate paths to healing. Christine launched Breaking Free, advocating truth and empowerment. Janelle focused on her children's stability. Meri pursued writing to reclaim her voice. Kody and Robyn grappled with guilt and sought personal growth. Slowly, a fragile sense of hope and a new kind of family started to emerge, one built on truth, resilience, and the possibility of forgiveness. Ultimately, the Browns were no longer the family they once were, but survivors learning to navigate a life shaped by honesty, accountability, and the courage to rebuild.